welcome back to the channel, your number one source for income-oriented investing. And it's very exciting day today because we finally have it. We finally have the first, as far as I could tell, leveraged covered call ETF in the US, and it's Defiance that comes out with it on MicroStrategy, or now Strategy. The stock symbol is MST. So this MST ETF focuses on MicroStrategy or Strategy with leverage and weekly income. So you're gonna have 150 to 200% leverage. And this is reset daily, so it's very similar to their 2x. You know, it's very popular in the US. It's really designed for day trading, for traders, where you have 2x whatever, long or short. So this is 1.5x to 2x. I'm wondering exactly why this amount was chosen. But it's leverage. It's not the classic leverage like they do in Canada, you know, 25%. This is much higher than that. It's 25% is 1.25x. This is 1.5x to 2x. So it's higher leverage. It's reset daily. It's not borrowed money. They're doing it with swaps. If we look at the holdings here, you could see that there's a swap right here to give you daily leverage exposure to the MicroStrategy stock. But this one also has, this is where it's different, finally, weekly income by using credit call spread. So it's a cover call strategy that does a spread, which is a pretty common one. So basically you could actually see here the spread, right? It's the same amount, 41.41. So what they're doing is they're selling a covered call at $410. So MicroStrategy right now is, I don't know, 380, 390 or something like that. So they're selling a call out of the money at 410, but they're also buying another call at a higher price. So you're selling at a call at one price and you're buying a call at another price, which obviously if it's more out of the money. You see here that the strike price is 445, whereas the call that you sold is at 410. So you're getting a big premium for this. You're going to take, basically, right, you're getting your cover call premium, you're getting your income, but you're taking a portion of that income to actually buy another call at 445, just in case MicroStrategy, and I'm assuming this is going to be a weekly call spread. You see that the expiry here is the 9th of May. I'm filming this on the 5th. I think this just came out last week. So it seems to be like, well, they probably wrote the call on Thursday or Friday, probably Friday. So it seems to me like this is going to be a weekly call spread. So they're going to sell a call at one price, get a premium, big premium, take a portion of that premium and buy a call by the same amount. Here you see 41, a little bit higher, which means in case MicroStrategy within that week blows up, it goes to 450, 460, 470, this call is going to be good to have, right? You'll win with this call. So you're kind of, by doing a covered call spread, everyone, you're kind of capping your upside cap. Hopefully that makes sense. So when you're writing a covered call on something, you're capping your upside. But when you're buying a call at a higher price, you're kind of limiting your upside cap. Hopefully that makes sense. This is something pretty popular, and basically, you know, they're SPY T ETFs and QQQT ETFs. That's exactly what they do. I know SPY does that as well. They'll typically sell a cover call and maybe they'll buy another call at a higher price. So basically, you could say it's I guess a cover call strategy on a leveraged 1.5x to 2x daily MicroStrategy stocks, which is, you know, basically Bitcoin on fire, Bitcoin leverage. So another cool thing, it's going to have weekly distributions. Obviously, this is brand new. I'm filming this on the 5th, and distributions have not been declared yet. And I'm wondering exactly how much. I'm sure it's going to be super high yield, everyone. I'm not sure exactly what kind of yield they're targeting, but very interesting ETF. So I do have a couple of questions about the leverage and the yield that they're targeting. I wish we could talk to the CEO, Sylvia Jablonski, but why don't we just talk to her right now? Hey everyone, I'm back with Sylvia Jablonski, CEO of Defiance ETFs. How's it going, Sylvia?
It's going great. Thanks for having me. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. It's been a while. Good to have you back. And and today I want to talk to you about MST. This is very interesting to me. This is the Defiance Leverage Long Plus Income MSTR ETF. So I'll just share my screen real quick here so people could see what we're actually talking about. Here's the stock symbol, here's the ETF itself. So as far as I'm concerned, as far as I could tell anyway, this seems to me like on the US side, because in Canada we have plenty of these, the first
Yeah.
leveraged and income or leveraged and covered call style ETF. And you're basically, this holds MicroStrategy stock, which is kind of like a leveraged play on Bitcoin,
Yeah.
if you will. So tell me a little bit about this ETF. How did you guys come up with the construction of this one here?
Sure. Well, I think just listening to our investors and retail investors out there, it seems like the three most popular things in the market right now for a lot of traders anyway are leverage. So enhancing your exposure to a particular name that you might like to trade.
Yeah.
Anything crypto related. So, Bitcoin, MicroStrategy, the various stocks that correlate to and track and are related to crypto and Bitcoin and things like this. And then income, right? And investors love these different funds that pay out income. And so we thought, why not marry the best of everything and create a product, right? So it's just what investors have been asking for. It's leverage with the income from the covered call strategy on top of it.
Okay, perfect. And tell me a little bit about so it's pretty easy to, it holds MicroStrategy or it has
Yeah.
exposure to MicroStrategy. That's not rocket science here. But one thing I wanted to ask you about, and I know you guys have plenty of leveraged 2x ETFs, on
Yeah.
a bunch of single stocks, including an MSTR one as well. You have a long and a short. MSTX is the long one. These are 2x reset daily. They're pretty much designed for traders, I would say.
Yeah.
But this one I notice is 1.5x to 2x. So
Right.
I think it's a little bit less. It's also daily. It's also reset daily. So tell me why you guys decided to lower the leverage a little bit on this income one.
So it's not so much about lower leverage. It's just that with a stock like MicroStrategy, right? Like we will aim to get 200% of exposure, 2x exposure, but you also have, the credit spreads and the covered call on half of the position, right? And so the goal is just to let investors know that when you have, a MicroStrategy ETF that's 2x leverage, like we're going to get as close as we possibly can to 2x, but it could drift between 150 and 200 essentially.
Okay.
So it's if you kind of look at, the other MicroStrategy ETFs out there, our other one has kind of that same point out there for investors, right? Like we seek 2x exposure on a daily basis. Most
Yeah.
days we get it, but these funds can deviate from the leverage target. So it's just kind of clearing up that, there could be a day where you're not at 2x, right? Or you could be between 150 and 200.
Okay, fair enough. And this is, you're not borrowing money. This is like using swaps. And how are you getting this leverage? Maybe that would better
Yeah,
question.
sure. So it's similar to our other ETF, our
Okay.
MSTX ETF. So in order to get the leverage exposure, we use either swap, we can use an equity position in MSTR itself, or we can use options essentially to gain exposure to the underlying index. And then on top of that, on 50% of the position, we're essentially, selling calls, selling covered calls, or doing the credit spreads to generate the actual income that you'll receive on this fund. So it's just two things. Like, so leverage is basically, and it's the same with most levered ETFs. It's
Yeah.
swap, equity, cash options, and then income is options.
Okay, and you said something very interesting. You're doing covered calls on 50% of the position. So would you say
Yeah.
that this is not YieldMax is like 100%, for example, right? They're writing it on the whole portfolio. This is,
Right. So this is 100% too, because it's
uh,
200, it's 2x, right? So you have 200% and on 100% of the MSTR position, you're doing the covered call strategy.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me about the covered call strategy. This is a spread, and you actually see a spread right here where
Yeah.
basically you're selling a covered call at one price. So in this case, it's 410. This seems to be like a
Yes.
week. Is this a weekly thing you're doing, a weekly spread?
Yeah, I mean it could vary, right? We kind of have whatever we need in the toolbox. The goal is basically that you're going to get the type of income from the fund that you see in line with the IV or the volatility of the underlying name, right? So if MSTR is 80, you're pretty much going to try to capture all of the volatility. And there's different ways we could do it. There's, kind of flex, there's weekly, there's,
Yeah.
certain amount of days and whatnot. But the goal is essentially to generate that income and capture the upside performance. So when you think about the different products that are out there that pay income on this particular name, they do one thing, right? They sell covered calls on the underlying asset itself. Here, you're getting the 2x leverage or up to 2x leverage on MSTR,
Yeah.
plus you're getting 100% of the income, plus you're getting whatever kinds of gains that could be generated within the portfolio, whether it's through swap or options trading as well. So there's kind of different ways that you get paid on this.
Interesting. Interesting. So, yeah, I could see this, and this pays weekly. This is a weekly payer. Obviously, the first distribution hasn't been declared yet. We're filming
Yeah.
this, by the way, on the 5th of May. I'm assuming it's going to be the first one's going to be declared this week and paid out Friday. Are you going to have Friday as the pay days?
So we will announce that shortly. So I can't pre-announce that yet, but
Right, right. Okay,
yeah,
sounds good. It'll probably be
yeah,
out by the time the video comes out, so we'll be able to see it. Okay,
yeah,
so you're capturing as much upside as possible. Obviously, with the covered calls, you're capping some of that upside, but with that leverage, you're getting more upside.
getting more of it.
So,
Exactly.
would you say that this ETF in particular, MST, for example, versus your MSTX, is this more designed, in your opinion, for like a long-term buy and hold income investor versus the other one, which is more for trading, like day trading and things like that?
Yeah, so I think it's a bit of a hybrid, right? Because with this, you have, on the upside, you're going to gather the majority of the upside performance on the index from the leverage fund, and you're going to gather the income. On the downside, like you can kind of see what happened the other day, or happened actually even this morning, right? Like MSTX was down at the open about 9.6-ish or so. This one was
Hmm.
about 8.5 and, versus Mr., which was down, whatever, 3 or 4. So that income actually buffers the downside on the ETF, so it's somewhere in the middle, but it's still a leverage fund. So what we say is that this is for investors that are, kind of tactical. They're looking at their portfolios every day, but they can make a decision every day in terms of, directionally, what do they think is going to happen with MSTR, and essentially hold it for the appropriate time period, while monitoring it daily. So yeah, you still have decay because it's a leveraged fund. So if you have
Yeah,
range bound volatility, if it's choppy, you're going to see that decay. On the other side, on the other hand, you're going to get a lot of income in that environment, right? Because volatility is higher. If it's trending upward, that's kind of a great situation, right? Because then you're going to get the compounding, the leverage, and the income. And if it's down, you'll lose because it's a leverage fund, but you will be down less than you would on the straight 2x fund because of the income. So
right. Like it says here, right? It's potential buffer against declines, like you just said.
yeah,
That's because of the call spread. That's because of the income.
yes, exactly,
Okay,
exactly.
perfect. So, technically speaking, MST has less risk than the MSTX, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. So MSTR is kind of, although, when you're talking about crypto, it's hard to say less risk, right? Because I think
Yeah,
our baseline is kind of a volatile asset, right? But I think it's like, MSTR is mild, and MST is a little bit spicier, and then MSTX is hot sauce, right? So
hot sauce. Yeah, it's the one. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So yeah, if you're a big Michael Saylor fan, if you believe in Bitcoin, that's going to go up in long term. This could be one with some, it could be pretty spicy because you have leverage, but you also have that income. And
exactly.
just to reiterate, if MicroStrategy's you're trying to capture the same volatility as the stock itself. So if
Yeah.
MicroStrategy's vol is 80, this one should be, let's just say it's 80 for the whole year. Technically, this
Yeah.
should have like 80% yield for the year, approximately.
Yeah, it could have more too, right? Because you have leverage, right? So and then you have like swap trading and options trading and things like that. So there are these embedded gains that happen within levered ETFs as you trade them. Like sometimes they're paying out these kind of distributions at the end of the year from trading gains and options trading and things like that. So it could be higher, it could be 80, but it should be in line with whatever the volatility is of Mr. MSTR.
Interesting, interesting. And
Yeah.
I guess if you're a long-term investor, you could just turn the drip on, reinvest those dividends, and it's kind of like MSTR growth style, and you're just trying to grow with
Like
MSTR.
high growth. Yeah, exactly.
Every week you're getting
Exactly.
that compound interest. Well, this is interesting, Sylvia. I have to admit, as soon as I saw this, I emailed you, and it was over the weekend, and I just want to tell my audience, you've been really gracious. You emailed me back right away and like, yeah, let's talk Monday about it, and here we are. So I want to
Yeah.
thank you for that.
I'll also tell your audience that you've been talking about this idea forever. So we give you
Yes.
lots of credit for that too. It's
Well,
something
thank
that,
you. I
you
appreciate
brought
it.
up from the beginning. So
Yeah, because we have these in Canada already for in a while,
yeah.
but not this much leverage. They do like 1.25x.
Right. Yeah.
And they literally borrow the money. This one is a bit different. It's much higher. You're using like swaps with the leverage. It's reset daily also. It's not like the classic leverage, so it really adds more fuel to that fire. But I like the weekly payouts. I think weekly payouts are always cool. I mean, come on,
Yeah.
let's admit it, right? If you're an income investor. So this is definitely super interesting. If this takes off, are you thinking of maybe doing something similar like this? With a bit of leverage on maybe like an S&P 500 or other stocks, or you're just gonna wait and see? I know you can't talk about future products, but
Yeah.
what do you think about that?
Our wheels are always turning.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. I think if it's something that investors want, it's something that we would probably look at.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I'm
Yeah.
definitely going to consider this one. I mean, most of my investments personally here, I know you don't know about this, it's not probably not interesting to you, but my audience knows that I invest mostly in Canadian stocks
Yes.
because of tax purposes, but I do have a small retirement account left, and I think I'll probably try MST out a little bit for a few weeks, see how that compounding makes me feel. I know it's going to be just a little bit more, like you said, spicy. I kind of like
Yeah.
that word, but hey, if Bitcoin starts breaking out, MicroStrategy is going to break out, and this is really going to break out. So I mean,
Yeah. And you get the
that's what
income.
leverage does, right?
Yes.
All right. Well,
Exactly
Sylvia, I
right.
know you're a very busy woman, so I'll let you go. I appreciate your time and
Thank you.
short
Thank you for
notice.
having me.
Yeah, I appreciate it, and hopefully you'll come back again soon.
Absolutely. Anytime.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.